What's going on, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Texas Steel Podcast. I'm Pierce Drexler, joined always by my boy Drake Greenstein, here ready to give a little preview for this upcoming game going into Indy, playing the Colts. Obviously, haven't had that hot of a start of the season, but obviously don't want to overlook this opponent. Drake heading into Week 4, 3-0. How you feeling, bro?
I'll say it last week and I'll do it again, man. Glorious.
Let's go.
We got a quarterback in the Steel City.
Mm-hmm.
We got a good football team. Got a chance to keep this undefeated record alive. I mean, what else could you ask for?
Couldn't ask for anything better. And the way things played out Monday night, I mean, can we give Jaden Daniels some props? Let's not play like that against us the first week back from the bye. But,
real.
man, to be able to light it up in Arrowhead. Cincy, and just be able to take care of business, man. We are eternally grateful for that. Bengals falling to 0-3. Everyone else in the North besides us is at 1-2. Man, it just feels good. Continuing to climb that ladder and looking across the league and the other teams playing, it looks like we have the best chance to take that leap and to go 4-0. So obviously hope we can capitalize.
Every single Mike Tomlin-led team that has started off 3-0 has made the playoffs.
That's what we like to hear. And, I memean, if we can go in there and make it 4-0, we're even more solidifying that case. But think real quick before we get into the Colts, just any last remarks that you kind of were reminded of as the Chargers game is kind of fully settling in the dust?
We got a quarterback.
Most definitely. And
we got an elite defense.
Bro.
We didn't even we didn't see the stat until later, but -5
Negative
second
5
half yards. Are you kidding me?
Crazy. I've never heard of that before.
No, this defense is legit. I mean, we got like one of those 09.
Just got to stay healthy.
Yeah, just got to stay healthy.
But even then, we got depth, bro.
Yeah.
Like every piece got
Terrell Edmonds.
Terrell Edmonds is back, and then we also made who was that signing just yesterday from the Carolina Panthers? We got us a cornerback.
Former top 10 pick.
Yes, number 9 overall.
Jags,
so obviously has had a little bit of struggles early on in his career, but hey, to get a top 10 pedigree guy, obviously we know Devin Bush was a top 10 guy, but we know how that one panned out. But this one, at least, this is just cornerback 4 or 5. This is depth piece for obviously the Trice injury that we unfortunately suffered last game. But continuing on to your point, man, that you made when we first started things off, I think we might have a quarterback, bro. And Justin Fields, and again,
I don't think it's I think we do have a quarterback.
When watching, I don't know if those viewers who had seen, or you sent it earlier this morning, but he was on the Not Just Footballin' podcast with our boy Captain Cam, and they were just getting into it, chopping it up a little bit. It was cool seeing 2 Ohio State guys that are from Georgia and then now Steelers. So I really think there's a great development there with obviously the guy, aside from TJ, who is a high pedigree Steeler, passing that into our new quarterback of the future, man. It's just great to see that podcast. But on it, Justin threw a little bit of shade at the coaching staff over in Chicago. He was just asked about, how things were there versus how things are now. And he was saying it's a night and day change. And so I just had this thought earlier in the day. Folks, we all work normal jobs and things of that sort. Just think if you're at a spot where your boss sucks, your coworkers sucks, there's no clear-cut goals and aspirations, things to drive, it's going to be a tough work environment to come in every day with a smile on your face and still try. When you also have the media on your back, what seems to be just a cursed franchise as a whole. Yeah. When things aren't clicking, you can relate it to your own personal life, like I referenced earlier, your job or your office setting. To have a complete change of culture where people are pouring into you, you're surrounded by greatness and like just overall aura, as Harbaugh said last week. We are just, it's a brand of football, and to be taken in under the wing like that could just be all that we needed to unhinge some of these things locked in Justin, as we're seeing in the first 3 weeks. So I just thought with a new change of scenery, I think he can definitely step into this role and take off. I was very, very happy and proud looking back on Justin's performance over the last week.
Yeah. Nothing but good things to say. He's making all the right moves.
So, and then one last point, topping on to last week, kind of as an offense as a whole, Chargers were ranked number 1 defense coming into there. Yes, Justin Herbert got hurt.
Number 1 rushing offense too.
And again, we can controlled that. I think we won in the trenches. But for them to be the number one defense and people are complaining, oh, still can't get enough points. I mean, if Najee would have, if we needed to score 7 there, we would have scored 7 there at the end. It was just out of a respect for Harbaugh. That goes to show Mike Tomlin's just a good guy, not wanting to be a dick
Not
and
running
rub
up
it
the
in his
score.
face and stuff like that. Pat Stad. But truthfully, if we wanted to, we just went toe to toe with the best defense in the league, and clapped their cheeks and sent them home. So the fact that our offense, who is still on the rise, I feel like we're still peeling back layers of the onion. Super excited to see, and just gives me tons of optimism moving forward. That dam is breaking for certain. So I guess without further ado, that was kind of final thoughts on the Chargers week. Obviously feeling juiced up here for Pittsburgh. But looking into this Colts matchup, man, what are some key things that you think are either some stresses or some successes that we may have going into our favor?
I mean, so you can go through like each position group, go through like what we did with the Chargers, but honestly, I don't think that's necessary. I think ultimately this game comes down to Anthony Richardson, second-year quarterback, and I saw an article, and it really is feast or famine because you can just tell he's kind of like Justin Fields in Chicago, where he's boom or bust on his plays, bro. Yeah. And I think Colts fans can even acknowledge that because you saw that 70-yard dot he had in week 1 against the Texans. That's one of the most beautiful throws I've ever seen. But then you see last week he's making inaccurate throws, like missing reads like crazy. So that gives me confidence. So going into this game, really, I think everything hinges upon how does our defense affect his comfortability in the pocket.
Got to get home.
Yeah, and the thing is, we are out of the entire league. The Steelers are blitzing the second least in the NFL, but are averaging some of the most pressures in the league. So we're not having to send extra guys.
We're just that good,
right? So we can keep 8 or 9 guys back in coverage and still get pressure on the quarterback. So when it comes to this game, yeah, it really hinges upon Anthony Richardson and his comfortability in the pocket. Because as long as we make him feel the pressure, I think we're going to see a lot of inaccurate throws, a lot of turnovers created. And I think, honestly, I don't really think a lot hinges upon Justin Fields or the offense. I think they're going to go out there, get their 20 to 27 points, whatever it may be. Our offense will slowly, get better and better. But I think it'll mostly be the turnover battle. I think we're going to see some turnovers from our defense turning into points because I just don't trust Anthony Richardson against our defense.
No, most definitely. And you were kind of touching on it earlier. I think he's one of the leaders in the league for turnovers so far this season. I think he has 6 or 7 interceptions, maybe even more. I'm trying to pull the stat up. We can drop it overhead just to confirm, check with the sources. Yeah. But again, likewise, he's definitely an elusive quarterback, can use his legs occasionally if he gets out in space, but the way our defense has shown throughout the first 3 weeks, man, I think we're going to be locked down. Jonathan Taylor has also had a couple of good weeks moving forward, but again, the way we handled the run last week against the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, I think we're going to still stand our own. The only thing that can go against us is this game being a Tomlin game, which obviously we know we've just become accustomed to those in the past, but something with this team makes me feel like we might have flushed those out of our system. At least I can hope. We seem like
there's just a different vibe.
Oh yeah, and
different vibe.
And also looking, yes, we're constructed of a fairly young team, but like there's so much maturity through these young players. Najee Harris is not like a 4th-year back, man. And you look at obviously the way Pickens, I think he's taken leaps and strides, not complaining or whining on the sideline. I've yet to see a pouty Pickens. So, I mean, and he hasn't had the most gaudy of stats or yards. So I think he's maturing. I think Justin's taking that next step. And obviously the defense is littered with talent. And
Roger Jones is showing some maturity. He got benched and he was like, honestly, man, like, I accept it.
Yeah,
and I was
for real,
all right,
for
respect.
real. And he came out and balled out against the Chargers. So super, super excited to see that. But again, I think we're gelling, and I think we can get to the point where we can maybe put a stamp and an end to these Tomlin games, or quote unquote. Obviously, it's the NFL. It is any given Sunday. Yeah. But when we look at it pen to paper, we should go in there and absolutely have our way, in my opinion, with this game.
I think that we'll impose our will. I expect turnovers coming on our end. I will say the only thing that, like, it doesn't scare me, but the only thing that did stand out to me, if you look at every single one of the Colts games, whether it be the Texans, Packers, or the who they just played last week, they won against the not the Titans.
Not the Titans, not the Raiders. Was it
They
the
won a
Raiders?
close game
Yeah.
though. But all I've noticed is every single one of their games are sticking to close single-digit games. So with this being an away game, I expect them to have a little bit of juice. Who'd they play?
I'm trying to pull it up here. It's
Oh
only
yeah,
showing future games.
the
Who we
that
get?
third game, the
Texans?
Bears. The Bears. So the
Yeah.
Bears stuck around. The Packers.
If the Bears are sticking around with
Yeah.
you, man, I mean,
So all that to say, all their games though, I mean, they're what single? They lost to the Texans by 2. They
lost to the Packers by 6.
Yeah, and
I
then-
think that was the first Malik Willis.
Oh yeah,
starting
that was a
game.
Malik Willis game. Yeah,
Yeah.
Malik Willis beat him. So with all that being said, I think Indy's gonna keep it within reaching distance, but I see this game kind of panning out much like the Falcons game, where I think we have a tougher, more physical, and more talented team at the end of the day, and I think that they'll keep it within single digits. I think just based off of how they've been performing against these other teams. But one thing I do expect though is just listening to Arthur Smith in the interviews this week. They've been trying to draw up deep shots all throughout the that last week against the Chargers. But I think we're going to see some deep shot. I think we're going to see some real
with the right receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sending a deep shot last week, but it was to Calvin. Like, we need
Yeah.
a 50-50 go-get-it guy, and that's Pickens. We
Yeah.
have him in-house. We just need to utilize
Yeah.
those skill sets for the deep balls. So definitely agree with you there. Thinking that we can I don't know. I just think this is the game that we can truly take over, at least the way that it's kind of constructing to. I think Justin... But again, one thing that we know about Mike Tomlin is he's going to play this season game by game. He's not looking at the Cowboys next week. He's not looking at the other games down the stretch of the season. I think he is solely focused on the next team ahead of them, which in this instance is the Colts. So I think we might not have to open the door as much as we did for Justin as we did in the Chargers game, knowing we're playing a little more high pedigree, more firepower offense. Open it up a little bit. I think what we can really do is resort back to, like you said, an Atlanta game, maybe even a Denver game. Keep the run, ground and pound, time of possession, limit the turnovers. We don't need Justin to go win us this game with his arm. Truthfully, if we can just keep our running and the same formula that we've had the first 3 weeks, there's absolutely no reason we should lose this game.
Yeah, I personally, I just don't, just based off of what we've seen from Anthony Richardson thus far, like I said, he's got like flashiness, but that's not like, it's not at a consistent level like a Josh Allen or Mahomes. There's a whole polar opposite of like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what was that throw? And so that gives me hope, especially against a Minka, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Minka's going to be licking his chops.
That's what I was finna say. I think we definitely win the turnover battle on this one. I think Minka's thirsty for an interception. One other guy that kind of had a quiet week last week, but flying all over, Patrick Queen, man. Obviously, he had the one that he should have caught. I think my prediction of this week is Patrick Queen anytime interception. I think he's feasting for it. He really wants to make up for the one last week. But again, Minka in the back, Deshaun Elliott, I mean, JPJ, any of them can come up big and get us an extra possession here on offense. So I think it's going to be...
Wait. So Patrick Queen interception?
I believe Patrick Queen will get a pick in this
I think
game.
Najee gets in the end zone for the first time this year.
We need it. We need it, man.
Yeah.
And obviously, if we needed to or really wanted to last week, we could have just... Pat stat and everything, or Pat
stat padding, yeah.
But just getting through, obviously we handle our business with class and we're better than that. So I think we're gonna go in there. We're gonna take it over. You already know Steelers Nation's gonna be popping out, showing up, hopefully filling out the stadiums and making it feel like a home game.
Oh, yeah.
We know what happened when we went in there last game on the brink of I mean, what was that? We played the Cardinals, we lost. We played the Patriots, we lost. And then we went into Indy and we lost. And that was the first time the Steelers had lost 3-0 in like 30 years or something like that.
3 straight games.
Go fact check me on that. You can see it for yourself. But again, this team just seems like it's different. It doesn't seem like we're going to have any Tomlin losses, or at least at this early stage, knowing how tough the back end of the schedule gets. So I think we go in there, we take care of business, and walk out with a dub. You want to get into any score for that? I was going to ask
hit
you.
Me. All right, I'll throw you mine. I say going into this game, I think the Colts keep it close. It's a home game. I don't think we play down to our competition. It's just we're not a team built to go up 21-0 on a team because, like you said, we're ground and pound and then throw an occasional shot in there. I say we see a turnover or two from Anthony Richardson. And I think they keep this within single digits. But as far as the score goes, I say 23-17, 23. Yeah,
Mm,
23-17.
mm. I think we're thinking alike. I was going to put myself right in there. I definitely think that our offense, while not having to do too much, will do more than enough. And I think this will be our highest scored game this season. I also have us landing at 23 points. But I think, man, I mean, the way that we've been playing, I was going to say 23-16, but it's to even think they get a touchdown is like, I don't know, man. I think
What? Oh, we're
23
giving
to
it
9.
eight teams,
23 to
points.
9.
Yeah, averaging 8 points, 23-9.
23
Okay,
9.
all
That's
right.
my final score. I think this is the game where obviously last week we started to get some media buzz after all the disrespect. We've continued to, we're used to it at this point,
Yeah.
Steelers Nation. We know what it is. Always come down flying under the radar. They say we're going to finish last in the division. Put up the stat, man. First and by 2 games. It ain't even
Yep.
close. And you already know all the other guys in the AFC North are about to start battling each other out, having a few games
You
here
hear
there
Joe
where they're
Burrow in
starting
his
to
press
overlap.
conference? Joe Burrow, after they go 0-3, he said, and the Steelers are 3-0. And I was like, boy, you better worry about your team.
Yeah,
worry
yeah.
about your team,
Go worry
bro.
about yourself, bro, and
Uh,
stop wearing the fairy outfits pregame. Just focus on winning, bro. Go get you a dub. But lo and behold, man, haters gonna hate. Steelers are gonna continue to thrive and climb the ladder. I do think. I mean, obviously, I think it could be a tighter game. Like we
yeah.
said, it is any given Sunday. It is the
It's just
NFL.
NFL away games, bro. Literally can go any way. I
Hmm.
just think two things: stack the box, stop the run, and force Anthony Richardson to be a playmaker with his arm. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are the two things that you prioritize. As long as you do that, I think the turnovers will come,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll turn those into points. I think our offense doesn't even need to play spectacular.
Yeah, that's not, yeah.
Yeah,
I think again, if we're scripting this game to okay, you're not playing the Chiefs, you're not playing the Bills, you're playing the Colts. How are you going to do this? Manage the clock, keep the running going, and win the turnover battle. And I
exactly.
think by the end of the day, we're going to be sitting here at 4-0. We will be here to cover that as soon as it wraps up this Sunday. But any last closing remarks before we head into Indy?
Let's ride.
Here we go, baby. Russ, you don't ride. Justin's riding, but fingers crossed he can stay healthy and we can get the job done. But until next time, we'll have a recap for you covering the Colts and the Steelers game, and then on to next week, which we don't even want to think about, but we're going to be in Pittsburgh for that one for the first primetime game of the season, baby. You already know. We will get there when we get there. First things first, we got to handle business against the Colts. But till next time, Steelers Nation, here we go, Steelers. Here we go.